Hey folks, I'm Alex Story, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen book. And specifically, we're taking a look at the Roll20 version just because I think it's the easiest thing I can do to present to you. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. And this overview, I'll be going through what's included in Roll20 and some of the kind of like the high level checkpoints on what you'll find in this book. I won't be going in a ton of great detail. I'll try to save those for later videos where I'll go into the line items with a little bit more detail. But let's go ahead and take a look at what you get when you purchase this awesome book. So first off, you'll see on the screen this amazing map of Krin, which is the world of Dragonlance. You can see all the different continents, and I think most of it is taking place in or around Kalaman, which is kind of like this big trade city in Solamnia. Pardon me, I never read the books, and I never watched anything regarding Dragonlance, so some of these pronunciations might not be the best. What's awesome is you do get a pronunciation guide, so just jumping forward. They do include a pronunciation guide in the book. You'll find it here in this kind of chart in the Roll20 version, but it's in the book as well in the early pages. It'll show you how to pronounce all these different things. And by the way, I just realized I might have spoiled something just by opening up that page on different characters that might show up in different chapters. Heads up, there's spoilers. If you are a Dungeon Master planning on running this book, go ahead and check this video out. If you're not, turn it off, right? Watch some of my other content when I go over the Lunar Sorcerer, for example, and different player character options from this book. But skip over this because this is DM's Eye only. So anyway, this map is beautiful. It's awesome. They reference in the book that this is actually not going to be used a ton as far as you're not traveling all over this world. It's all kind of set in that one area, but your characters and the NPCs inside the adventure are going to be from all different corners of this map. So this is a great place to reference kind of the geographical complexity of Krin. So awesome. That's the first thing that I want to show you. And then second, the Roll20 version has kind of two different portions of what you buy, right? You get the in-game stuff, right? So the different pages, right? You get all these different pages, the interior maps for a lot of the adventure locations, as well as, here you get the cover page where you can just slap your player character tokens down, as well as a token page. You can quickly grab tokens of all the different monsters to throw into the game. But you also get this kind of compendium with all kind of the first couple chapters of the book, or I should say the first chapter, which is basically going through the lore of Dragonlance and what's going on with this War of the Lance, as well as the character creation options that your player characters will have, because there's a couple different options in here that are pretty awesome. So first off, I'll talk about the race option, which is going to be the Kinder. The Kinder is the brand new race option that you get, which is kind of my understanding, kind of shorter human with kind of pointy ears. Is kind of the vibe that I'm picking up here on what a Kinder is. So you can play as a Kinder in this adventure. And then you also get the new Sorcerer option, which is the Lunar Sorcerer. So those are probably the two biggest things that you get access to. I'll talk about the Lunar Sorcerer in greater detail in another video. This is an amazing subclass. But you also get access to, in this book, lots of feats and backgrounds. So there's several different, I'll call them factions. I think in the book they call them organizations. But you get the different, we'll call them the mages and the knights, right? There's basically mages and knights, and there's a lot of different backgrounds that you get, or bonuses, right? The Knight of Solamnia and the Mage of High Sorcery, there's a lot of different feats you get attached to those backgrounds. That you can choose, which are pretty cool. And of course, all the different feats that I just talked about. So the add up to the black robes, add up to the red robes, add up to the white robes, divinely favored, initiate of high sorcery, knight of the crown, knight of the rose, knight of the sword, and a squire of Solamnia. So those are all the different backgrounds, or I should say feats, that are attached to the aforementioned backgrounds, which are pretty awesome. You'll find that there. I'll talk about these in more detail because they are kind of cool. When you jump into it, you'll see they all have an ability associated with them that you can use in game. It's not just passive buffs, which I think is really cool. So that's what you'll see in this kind of compendium section. Like I said, the lore of Krin on the left, then the character creation options on the right, and then in the game, that's where you'll get access to all the other stuff. So when you launch the game using Dragonlance Shadow the Dragon Queen, you'll find all these different pages. So these are set up so you can drag tokens onto the map and use dynamic lighting, so you can kind of see the walls have already been created. So you can just play on these maps, and you know, pre-made dungeons, so you can kind of go ahead and get started as folks are kind of going through these different dungeons and whatnot. So let's find a big dungeon so I can kind of show you an example. The Sunward Fortress, maybe. Yeah, here we go. So you can kind of see they're already set up, you know, with the different things that your player characters are going to interact with, which is really cool. So that's probably the biggest thing right there, is those pages that are set up. And then on the right, you'll see all the different, I guess, parts of the book. They break them out into handouts. So whereas if you had the physical book, you kind of leaf through the pages and see these things in the on the different sidebars. Here they kind of break them out into different linkable handouts that you can have ready if you want to reference it during your particular session. So obviously we have the different chapters, and you'll see the first one is kind of ignored because it is just character creation. But then you have kind of like the overviews. So what you're going to find in this chapter, then kind of an overview of the big beats of the chapter. The flow, I found this super useful. It kind of shows like how, like a narrative on how the different chapters kind of flow together. So you can kind of get an idea of what happens and where. And I've noticed that if you look at the paragraphs themselves, the first chapter kind of is like a quick narrative, and then the second paragraph talks about like a pro tip for you as a dungeon master to kind of help them with. So a quick example, on chapter 3, When Home Burns, the first paragraph talks about how they go to the village of Vogler, attend a funeral for a friend, and participate in a Kingfisher festival, which is when they get attacked. And then that ultimately leads to a bigger attack from the Red Dragon army, and they save people they help people escape Vogler. And then the second paragraph talks to you as the DM, which is encourage them to forge connections with each other and the people of Vogler. And then because many of the people that they run into are going to help them and be their allies throughout the adventure, which is really cool. So I like that two-part, right? Here's what's going to happen, and here's what you need to do as a DM in that chapter. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's typical if you've run a pre-written adventure of Dungeons & Dragons. It's pretty straightforward. You got different sections. This talks about the different parts, the different adversaries in the Dragon Queen's threat. This talks about the different character creations that you can help out with, and then you know, it goes beyond that. And like I said, you already have the pronunciation guide. But anyway, that's a quick overview. I'll talk about each section in more detail as the days go by, as I read more. But I just thought I'd give you a quick overview of what you can find included in Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen, especially for the Roll20 version.